prices are good for today only. It's a lot of
funny. Hey, that's how it works. Yay, it's been a long time since I've streamed live on YouTube, and they've changed everything. So we're going to get started here in about 5 minutes or so. I'm just going to be doing some basics, kind of setting us up. A bunch of faders have to come down because they're very, very loud, and we'll get rolling. Go ahead and ask questions in the little thread bit there on the right, and I'll answer them as we can. I'll be right back. Because we tried playing this, and it was so crazy loud. Crazy loud, as you can see. Evidenced by red lights at the top of the meters. Now this session has about 130 tracks, and by no means are we going to get to all of them today. But, oh, there's a random bus we can get rid of. But we'll definitely get through the setup, some bussing, which does not take you anywhere in town, only what you want to do here in the mix. And I'm not going to worry about color coding because, you know, and all of that stuff. As lovely as that is for a client, no one's going to be looking over my shoulder on this mix except for all y'all. Normally we do want to do that because it looks lovely and it does help the visual when you're trying to look at hundreds of tracks, but in Audition that takes a little while to do because you have to do them one at a time, at least as far as I know. Someone can prove me wrong, please, because that would save a lot of time. But until then, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to move the video over here to screen number 2, which unfortunately y'all can't see. We're going to get started here in a couple of minutes. Thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them there in the thread. Think about why they call it thread. Is it like we're crocheting or sewing, or what are we doing? Why is it called a thread? Maybe it's something to do with spider. Maybe it's like, remember the old, for those of you who are older, remember they used to call it the World Wide Web, and there was always spider-looking things. Remember that? And it was just me? Okay. Hey, Jody. Thanks for joining us. Man, it's late for you, my dear. Cool. You're going to like this mix, Jody. Notice how many tracks we have here. Yay. So fun. All right. That's nice. I like it. And let's do this. This little screen is going to get annoying, but oh well. Limited screen space. That's the print 1 master. It'll be all right. That goes to the master, which will be a stereo out for us. Don't think that's going to work. The terrible spinning ball. Oh, what do you know? Yeah, I don't think that's going to work that way. So let's just remove this and make another stereo bus. And this will be our headphone out to all y'all. this will be the send. Hi. We'll figure out how that works. All right. Jesus saves, and so should you. Hey, everybody. So welcome to, it's been a long time since we've done a live stream. Well, I should probably put on some headphones so I can hear. Hi. And what I've got here is a little mix. It's actually an extreme mix here of Star Trek, a trailer that I'm working on for Star Trek Axanar. And we actually had all the elements in Pro Tools, boo hiss, and I've exported them all into Audition, and we're gonna have a little fun here. We're gonna do this over several weeks, my guess, this mix. Just kind of go through the paces like I would do in a regular mix, hopefully answering questions for you all, and just showing you from, you know, the basic laying of the keel of how we do a mix, much like we did in the Cinema Sound Education. But probably a little more involved because we're actually going to deliver this. And we're going to be doing it in Spatial Audio Designer, which if you've been hanging out here a little early, you've seen the routing I just did. So that if you have headphones, you're going to want to listen to this on headphones. Otherwise, it's going to sound kind of weird. Now, today, not so much because we're not going to do a whole lot of audio. We're going to talk about a lot more routing and putting the basics together. But we're definitely going to hear it. And if you have speakers or you're listening to it, heaven forbid, on your iPhone or your Android speakers or even your computer speakers, it's going to sound awful, horrible. So if you can listen to it on earbuds while you're walking or doing dishes or whatever it is you're doing, it'd be much, much better. All right. So, and like I said, I have to look over here because the thread part is over here. To look at the threads, please ask questions as I keep going. I'll just check back every few minutes or so. What have we got here? Jody's here. Oh, I'm so glad, John. I'm so glad that worked out for you. And many more to come. Just keep hanging out here. You know, 5.1 and surround is one of our, actually it is our biggest demand of our Cinema Sound members and our YouTube channel here. You know, we are speaking with Dolby, trying to see if we can come up with a partnership with them to help train all y'all and everybody else around Dolby Atmos as well, which, as you know, Netflix and Hulu, they're all starting to require those kinds of deliveries. And if you don't know how to do it, well, it's not exactly intuitive. And then Jody, you're on the West Coast. What? Wow. Vancouver, where are you? And then Chandra, hi, welcome. Welcome all, welcome on, welcome all. All right, so we're going to roll, and I'm going to turn my face off on the screen just because it lugs the computer down to do that and do 132 tracks of Audition. So I'm just going to go here. You should be able to still hear me. And I'm going to bring our picture back just so you can kind of get a feel. Now, you're the first people in the world to see this trailer. It is not mixed. The voiceovers are not in. They got to keep, they have to re-record them. Although I may drop a few in today just so you can see what I would be doing and will ultimately do because they are going to re-record them. So this is trailer, a little 2-pop. Again, this is just faders up. There's no mixing. There's nothing here, but it'll give you a feel for what's going to happen here. so much fun. Now, I can show this to you because I don't know, about a third of these shots are going to change. You saw the slugs that were in there, the motion graphics. This is nothing like what the trailer is going to ultimately be like. And yes, for those of you who are wondering, I did write all that music, which is down here in the stems, down here. Lots of stems, which we're going to be dealing with, not this week, unfortunately, but soon. All right, so we've got lots of tracks. Let's just review. So the top one up here, this is hello, there we go. This is the video track, along with the video reference that we just pulled off of the export from the video. And for those of you who have been through Cinema Sound, you know the incredible importance of the 2-pop. Where do we put the 2-pop? Well, you can see here, there's the time in the timeline. That 1 hour is actually here, 10 seconds in. We always want to have pre-roll so that, and you're like, well, why do we need that? We're not rolling tape anymore. It's true, it's sort of left over from those days, but you never know what you're going to need back here, so we always leave 10 seconds, even in a video timeline. And this 2-pop shows us a 1 frame at 2 seconds in of 1,000 hertz. To kind of give us an idea of where everybody should line up 2 seconds before, and then the audio and picture start. So we've got these 2 tracks here. And I'm just going to, there's no actual titles. Again, we pulled this from a Pro Tools asset. So these are all like, you know, Trailer 1 Mix 01. Kind of horrible. So we're just going to call this tone left. We're going to call this tone right. And let's just see what else we got in here. I'm pretty sure that the majority of the rest of this stuff is sound effects. What's all this then? What's all this? Oh, this is more interesting stuff that we don't need. Let's reshape this. Any other strange stragglers of tracks? No. All right, we'll just zoom back in so we have the full timeline at our avail. Or not. Okay. All right, so this track and this track and this track have nothing in them. So let's get rid of them, because no sense. This does tend to bog down your processor, so we don't want that. So we're just going to take a little listen to all these little sounds here. Sorry for the word little, all the little time. This is shuttle sound. I had so much fun. I also did the sound effects on this. So much fun doing this stuff. Well, that is fantastic. We're going to call that shuttle. And then these 2 little dudes here, have no idea. Again, Pro Tools happily spit out these, whatever those file names are. Okay, so that's a nice, snappy, bad thing. We'll just call this ramp up left. We'll call this ramp up right. How about this? Oh, this is the Passard Ram Scoop. It's sort of a fun sound we developed, I don't know, back in 2014. Doesn't really exist in Star Trek lore, but since that's the little orange-looking things, they're supposed to collect electrons and fuel the deuterium reactors. How do I know this? As my fiance would say, you are such a nerd. It's true. And one of the things that I love most about Star Trek is the ships. So, you know, my Charlemagne, what can I say? Okay, so that's just a sweep. And if you've looked at the Cinema Sound education at all, you know how important it is to layer sound effects. And not all of these sounds are going to be at full volume. Ooh, that's lovely. I love that. This would be shuttle impulse left, shuttle impulse right. And this is another nameless sound. Okay, there's kind of a thump. And this is something interesting. What's this? Okay, that's a deep whoosh. Left. And none of these are panned. I mean, these are all just sitting mono right now. And this is some of the work that we have to do. If you've ever gotten handed a mix with everything kind of plugged in like this, oh, it's all in the right time, but it's nowheresville in pan or EQ or volume. This is kind of the work you got to do, especially if it comes out of Pro Tools. How much fun is that? That's probably whole sweep or whole whoosh. Left. Oh, Whistler skiing? What? Jody. That's not exactly West Coast. That's kind of like Central, isn't it? I shot a movie in Calgary. Isn't that Central Time or Mountain? But hey, Whistler right now would be beautiful. Okay, that's like engine, noise, left, engine, noise, right. All right, now what else have I had? Do I have empty tracks here some more? Looks like lots of them, which is strange. Why would it give me all these empty tracks? But it has. Okay, we will get rid of them in kind. Strange, strange. So I'm on a Mac, so I'm using Command, Option, Delete until I start seeing new tracks. I better zoom out here and make sure I'm not killing something. Well, this is the end of it, so it can't be anything less. Let's see. Actually, let's undo. Oh, ha ha! Look at that. Tracks on the front, so let's not delete those. Cool. What are these? Listen to this. Oh, these are Klingon sounds. Okay. Yes. That's Klingon 1 and Klingon 2. This is Destroyer 1 left. This is Destroyer 2 right, or Destroyer 1 right. Destroyer 2 left. Destroyer 2 right. And this is, oh yes, the impulse engines, and I'm guessing this one is too. Oh yeah, the thump part. Okay. This is D6 engine left. If you know anything about Star Trek ships, then you know that in the olden days of the Klingon Empire, their reactors were actually prone to melt down and kill everyone on the ship. So we thought it would be a good idea to make kind of this weird, sort of rickety sound for these big D6 older ships. Like that. So they're kind of, rickety. We're not so sure if they're going to work or not. All right, so we're going to go back here. More fun. Oh, shotguns. I'm pretty sure those are shotguns to help the phasers. These are the old style faders, as you can tell. And when we put them together with the shotgun sounds, they add a nice little effect to them. Shotgun left. And this was actually brought to my attention when we did the original Star Trek Axanar Prelude by Frank Serafini. And Frank worked with me on this. May he rest very well. And he said, well, let's put some shotguns to that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Explosion 1. No, this is explosion 1 left. And this is explosion 2, 1 right. Because I'm guessing this one also is an explosion. Oh, yes, for certain. Okay, next is this. These are proton. No, more explosions. Love it. Explosion 2 left. Explosion 2 right. You're 2 right. What's this? Shields. Shields left. Oops. Shields right. And this, those are disruptors. Disruptor left. Disruptor right. And this is torpedo left, right. More torpedoes. What's on these tracks? Lots of noise. This is Aries. Fly by left. Aries, fly by right. Beautiful. Love it. Those are impulse engines. And you'll notice what Pro Tools does here. Oops, let me just put this in. Aries, impulse left. Aries, impulse right. notice what Pro Tools does. Whenever you put a fade in, and if you have to export it, notice that it just basically, not only do you lose the file name of the clip, but it just makes all these weird cuts. It doesn't actually make a new fade like any reasonable digital audio workstation. It just makes a new file for you and forces you to like that it cuts up your files. And in Premiere, it actually makes it so almost unlistenable. Ooh, if you don't have headphones on, you're not hearing that. That is super low. Sub sweep left. Unless you happen to have subwoofers in your computer speakers, which would be cool indeed. Okay, that's a warp in. Warp in left, warp in right. Ooh, put these together. How much fun was this? So cool. All right, so this is warp in 2 left, warp in 2 right. And we're going through and we're cataloging all this, not just because we want to be organized, although we do, of course. It's more about we need to listen to what's here, and it's been months since I've heard any of these sounds. We did this back in October. That is super lovely, although I think it's in the wrong place, but we'll leave it here for now. This is slow whoosh left, slow whoosh right. Over here, what do we have now? Yeah, I thought so. So let's move you guys up here. Oops. This is one of the things, I just did a video on what you can and cannot do in Premiere versus what you can and cannot do in Audition, why you would move to Audition, and this is one of those things, moving audio tracks. We'll just call this warp in 3 left. In fact, there was, I think, 14 things with 3 dozen more that you cannot do in Premiere that you can in Audition. Oh, we just did that. Hello. Now, is this an extra track? It is. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Thanks for coming. What have we got here? Oh, this is the silly scream. Not the Wilhelm scream. We'll probably be mixing that low. What do you think? Okay, we'll be running a low-pass filter on those. This is internal explosion 1, left. And once you know what's in your mix, that your head starts kind of going, I think I know where all these things are going to go. Mix-wise. Okay, and this is cling, warp in left. And you're like, Mark, this is so boring. Yes, it is. And it must be done. If we don't organize, we die. Okay, this is more D7. This is D7 impulse left. Now, normally, you wouldn't have all these crazy sounds because, well, normally you wouldn't be doing sci-fi. But in sci-fi, we have so many sound effects and things. It becomes a seascape environ of all this crazy stuff. And if we don't label them, all we end up doing is scrolling around our mixes all the time going, where is this thing? What is this? Oh, I bet you it's a part of this musical thing we have going on. Yes, okay. So this is hit effects 1 left, hit effects 1 right, hit effects 2 left, hit effects, oops, paste. Okay, don't paste. Hit effects 2 right. Lovely. And in case you didn't know, you can hold down Command or Control, I believe, and it will unsolo all of your tracks. Oh yes, this is the thunder that goes throughout. Part of the theme. Thunder right. Fantastic. What are these? More kind of bass drums. Accents. In fact, those should probably go up here with the hit effects. Makes some organizational sense. Move it. There we go. These are, I just said thunder. Hooray! These are you don't have headphones on, that's what we would call space noise. Very low frequency stuff. And next, yay, the alarms. Now the alarms are actually, the director had a really great idea to make thematically this trailer move around a delayed version of that alarm. So we're going to be adding delays to it. Okay, now we're into the music. This is metronome. Left, metronome, right. Now for you who are composers, I knew that I wanted a specific tempo for this cut sequence. And instead of putting temp music in, which is like, no, please don't use temp music if you want to have an original score. If you just want to have somebody redo your score that was temp, yeah, put temp music in, but don't expect any originality or anything like that. So I put in this metronome to give me a tempo, and I gave this to the director, and he was actually really cool with it. So you'll notice that it cuts, but it is a 72 beat per minute tempo. And then when we came back in and did the score, then we used that tempo, just dropped it in as an audio file, and I locked the tempo of the digital audio workstation I was using for music, and then... Anyway, so we used that tempo, and it worked great. It worked really, really well. Cool. See, what are you asking, Jody? Where do you get a lot of these types of sound effects? Well, the original ones from the show we just, well, stole. And the rest of them are, well, let's take a look. Some of them are from Boom. Let's just take a look at my sound effects library here so you can see. So I've got a few libraries that I've amassed over the years, 20th Century Fox, Blast Wave, sound effects. We talk about all of this in the Cinema Sound education. These are all from, I believe these are from Boom, Hollywood Edge, Jurassic Dinosaurs. But a lot of these sounds, to be honest, I've built myself, specifically around knowing that I had to build an entire library of sounds for this. So here's the Charon flyby. Actually, this won't play in my, because this will come to the speakers, which you won't hear. But these are, I basically have taken regular old sounds, helicopters, really weird whooshes, etc., slowed them down, sped them up, added all kinds of weird stuff to them. That's what makes sound design so much fun. I mean, it's just a gas. And we spent several months building an entire library of sound effects, which, you know, we use all the time, based on which ship is flying by, who it is. Each one has its own kind of audio signature. We used tires in rain and ran those backwards. I sat for about an hour underneath the 5 freeway on a freeway overpass recording semis going up a steep grade called the Grapevine here in Los Angeles while they were going through gears, and got all kinds of great stuff. In fact, where are those sounds here? They're probably in here somewhere. Time. Oh, yeah, truck buys. So here's me with an H6. This is not going to play, will it? Oh, it will. You're getting it through my speakers, but... And you can take that and resynthesize it. I mean, I've taken treadmills in a hotel, which is fun. You can hear that. That's me going crazy. And, you know, I used to carry my H6 with me everywhere I went. So I almost needed a holster for it. I loved that thing. And then what you do is, now that we know we can hear some of these, accent our sounds, dry dock, Karen flyby, areas chase frog was our helicopter. Sure, no big deal, but when you drop it down and add EQ and all kinds of other things to it, it gets real exciting and very spaceship-y and bangy and these kinds of things. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Sound design is kind of the funnest, most fun bit. All right, I'm going to leave music alone because we're kind of not going to get to it today. because that's just going to take time. Jesus saves, and so should you. All right, so we've got some organization here. Let's add some tracks below the tones for voiceover. And we're going to go here, add tracks, no video tracks. We're going to add just a couple of mono, actually they are in fact stereo voice tracks. We're going to put them here. Of course, it put it there instead of here, there. It's going to be voiceover 1, OA 1, and voiceover 2. Okay, now that we've got a semblance of organization, again, we would go through and make these all nice and color-coded for the client, but oh well, we're not doing that today. Although that's kind of awful, isn't it? I don't like that. Anyway, let's see. I'm not going to be a perfectionist about it. The next thing we need to do is our routing. And what I mean by routing is we don't just want these to just go to the master output. Like right now, you can see all of the outputs of every one of these tracks, all 130 odd of them, are going to this track right here, which is the master. And that would then go to your output, and that's fine. But we don't want that. We want to actually send these to buses. And what does a bus do? Well, it gets you to the train station. Or, I'm going to put this over here. It's getting annoying. We can create a sort of a sub-mixer that allows us to take multiple channels and combine them before they get to the final combination so that we can, like if you've got 100 sound effects tracks, as we do, instead of having to turn them all up one at a time, if you want to make a difference in overall sound effects volume, you can just pull up one fader that controls all of them. And you can also add EQ, which we will definitely be doing, which affects all the sound effects. Or if you wanted to take the sound of the dialogue out of the music so that you could turn the music up more using notch EQ, like we talk about with the education, you can do that easily by routing all of the music stems to a bus and then EQing that. Okie doke. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take and for me, organization-wise, you can do anything you want, but next to these voiceovers, I'm going to put a 5-1 bus. Boom. We're going to call this dialogue bus, 5-1. And then what we do is we go here to the voiceover track, number 1, and instead of saying go to output, we say go to bus 5-1 dialogue bus 5-1. We do the same with his buddy here. Now, this dialogue is no longer going to the master output, it's going here, which is super dope. And from there, we then send this to, we could send it to the master, but because I need to ultimately send this to us in surround sound mode, I'm going to be sending this to the 5-1 print master. What's the 5-1 print master? Well, if you slide all the way over to here, that's this guy here, which has the 3D spatial audio designer on it, etc. That's this little job you do, which we're going to talk about in a second. The next thing we need to do is, sadly, one at a time, go through all of the sound design and route all of that to the same. But we want to make give it its own bus track here. This is going to be SFX bus 5.1. which will go to the 5.1 print master. And now we've got to do this to every one of these, which, I mean, again, if somebody knows how to do this where you could like shift click and like hit all of these tracks so that they can all just go there, that would be amazing, because every time that I have to do this in a mix where I'm not able to use my normal template, which, by the way, if you are a Cinema Sound member, you have access to that template, or if you're an MZ member, either way, or both, even better. That template is the one that we've been using in Cinema Sound for years. In Audition, it works even though it was way back in whatever version it was that we did. All of these buses are pre-organized, and all you really have to do is add tracks, individual tracks. But in this case, because this came from Pro Tools, it would actually take us longer to use that template and copy and paste it than it would just to kind of do this, believe it or not. So anyway, and if you have used that bus, I'm looking at bus. If you have used that template, then give us a shout out. Let us know how it's worked. I don't know if Jody, I think Jody, you actually use your own original template. But once you create a template, you can see how much time this takes. This is not something you want to be doing every time you have to do a large format mix. So once you have a template that you like and especially if you've gotten done with a project, make a copy, kill all of the content and clips and plugins and automation, of course, and anything else that might make that session unique, and then save it on your desktop or wherever you keep stuff as a template that you'll then go back to time and again. And what's great about that too is that in that template, ideally you have all of your preset templates, which is another thing we discovered today when we did this video on what's different about Premiere and Audition, is that you can save, not only can you do 16 effects at a time in Audition, which you can only do, 5 in Premiere, but you can save them all as a preset set from the Department of the Redundancy Department. So if you've got dialogue and you always pull up parametric EQ, you always pull up compressor after that, you always pull up de-esser or multiband compressor or whatever, and you do that on every dialogue track, you can just save that as a preset, and then every time you have a dialogue track, it's just boom, you pull it up, and you're good to go, which is super nice. I don't think there was a way to do that on channels, otherwise we wouldn't have to do this, but there we go. All right, so we're through that. Jesus saves and so should you. Right, now you'll notice something interesting that's happened since we routed these stereo and otherwise mono, actually these are all mono tracks, to surround. We have now the surround puck. Look at this cool thing. Center, right, left surround, right surround, and we can pan it anywhere around in here that we want, which is super dope. How did that happen? Well, once you pan a mono or any channel, any multi-channel track, to a bus or a master that is multi-channel, as we did here with the 5.1. Actually, we panned it to the sound effects bus, which is 5.1, and then that is going to the print master. Then you get the surround puck. If you don't, like right now, the music tracks are still panned to the master, which is stereo, you only get the left and right panner, which is pretty dope. While we're at it, let's just make our music multi-track 5.1 bus. This will be our MX bus 5.1 going to the 5.1 print master. I'm not going to assign all these, we'll do these next, but notice that once I take, this is in stereo, and once I make this go to the MX 5.1 master, boom, it is now surround. Super cool. All right, now if I play, sure, let's look at the music here for a second. Let's go to the end. Now you'll notice I've got stuff on the music. It's all in the center channel. Let's look at the SFX ones. That's all in the center channel. And then the dialogue, well, there's no dialogue. Everything's in the center, but it is definitely going to the 5.1 mix. Yay. Why is it all in the center? Because it's currently all panned to the center, and we get to have fun putting those in the right places here in a moment. Let's just set up 3D Spatial Audio Designer here for a moment. This is bus A. We're going to call this, I'm a little confused. Why is this like this? Oh, okay. Let's not have this go to the master. Let's have this go to bus A. So I have to do a little voodoo here for a second, and I'll explain it to you here in a moment. This is the ambisonic out. So here's how it goes. So we've got our buses, like the music bus, we got the dialogue bus, we got the sound effects bus. Those are all 5.1, getting routed to the 5.1 print master. Now the 5.1 print master has the cool Spatial Audio Designer send on it, and you can see it's multi-channel, all 6 happy channels. From there, it will get sent and processed in 5.1 space to this 2-channel ambisonic plugin track, which is the mix, which then does the final juice processing to get it to us here in stereo and me streaming it to you. So there's just a couple things we need to do. First is we need to select which room we want to be in. And the Sennheiser Studio is not one of my favorites, I've just got to say. In fact, let's just do this. We're going to change the envelope. Well, let's change the studio first. I like the original one they made. These are all rooms that they have shot with special speaker and microphone so that they can do convolutions of the room themselves. We're also going to do a room EQ with the earbuds, just because that's kind of what everybody's going to be listening to it on. Dynamics, room envelope. What am I looking for here? Okay, thanks so much. There, I want frequency dependent envelope. This just kind of helps us get a better sound, better separation. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, because unfortunately, these channels don't show up as left-right surround, so we kind of have to do a little Mickey Mousing. So we're going to mute this. I'm just going to take one track here and just pan it around so that I know what it is, where these channels go. I kind of remember, but I don't all remember. So let's find something that has just a little length to it. And we're going to make sure that we are in loop play, which we are. Great. It doesn't really want to loop right now because there. Okay, so we're going to go back to the mixer. We're going to find this channel, which is right here. Open up the, wow, that is a huge puck. Let's put it here. Now it's really small. Just a little bit larger. By the way, if you haven't done this, when you put the puck inside one of these little crevices, alcoves, it disallows you to do any automation. So once you jam it into right surround like this, you can't move it anymore. It's stuck in there. So if you want that, great. If you don't, well, don't. All right, so right now it's center. So for some reason here in Spatial Audio Designer, that shows up as track 5. So what we'll do here is we will find track 5. Now this is looking above the head, and this is from the back or the front of the head here. That's 4. This is 5. Okay, we're going to put 5 here. Then we're going to say, where's left? My guess is left is in fact 1. Yes, it is. And that should be exactly that. Now, if you're on headphones, you can already start hearing the effect. And then we're going to go to right. And that is, in fact, 2, which I believe is this one here. It is. All right, this is right surround now. Get in there. Oh, that's 6. Okay, that's U. So right surround is going to go back there. And then left surround is 4. Is that U by chance? No. U by chance? Yes. That means we've got left, right, right surround, left surround correctly routed, which means that this little dude, number 3, is actually our LFE, and we will do that LFE only, which removes it from the panoramic spectrum because you don't want to have LFE panned. You just want it to go to the center speaker. I mean, the subwoofer. Now, let's see what happens here. We should be able to get a nice convolution of this room. So there's left front, center, right, and I'll pan it all around. You can kind of hear what it feels like. In the rear to the front. Now, one of the nice things we can do is we can do like in a theater where we will take the rear speakers and raise them up just a little bit. Well, actually, I'm in 5.1, aren't I? I am in 5.1. Please go away. Well, let's have a little fun. Shoot. Let's just make it 9.1. Or 11.1 DTS. Sure, why not? You can do 24.2 on this, so, you know, why skimp? So we'll raise these up a little bit, and you can see the speakers clusters are a lot more in depth now. Let's see. That should be cool. Hey, Veselot, how are you, good sir? So, all right, we are panned and ready to rock and roll. We're going to save. I love it. This is great fun. All right, so we've got the basics down. It took us about 40 minutes, which is not that unusual. Let's add some little bits of reverb. And those are the similar kinds of things we want to bus. And we're going to start with voiceover. I'm going to add a simple, what am I going to do, actually? Let's add a 2 bus tracks. They'll be stereo. This is going to be Voiceover Verb Front. This is going to be Voiceover Verb Surround. These are going to go, as you might imagine, to dialogue bus only, 5.1. And what we're going to do is, open, says me, we're going to turn off the center channel. So this verb is only going to go to left and right. And the surround, we'll turn off the center channel, is going to come to, to the center, or sorry, the surrounds only, just here. And you're like, Mark, why would you do this? Well, sometimes using a surround reverb can really use up a lot of resources. And this allows us to be able to conserve resources with a simple stereo reverb. And which stereo reverb will we use? Well, we can just use the studio reverb. That should be okay for now. I'm not sure how or where or when we'll use it, but we definitely want it to be routed just so that we don't have to deal with it again. Now for the, oh, you know what else we need to do? We need to add a mono reverb for the dialogue. And you're like, mono reverb? Yeah, we talk about it all the time, the importance of having mono verb for dialogue. We'll do the same thing, a very low processor intensive studio reverb. This will be mono. We will make this very short, a very short ambience. You know, I'd love to be able to demonstrate to you speakerphone, which I have a video coming out on this new amazing plugin that'll just, oh, I just got to show you. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. It's so amazing. We have a whole demo coming out. It will change your religion. Look at this thing. It's got phones and amps and speakers and turntables and megaphones. You even got GSM that you can use on it. Let's see. Shoot, I gotta get some voiceover in here. Otherwise, it's not gonna make any sense. If we've got, well, I got 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Let's see if we can get there. It's so amazing. Okay, studio reverb. This will be mono. We like to use a very short reverb to help heal the any edits or anything like that. It saves us from having to use room tone, which is really just like, ugh, awful. Okay, that goes center. Our voiceover will also go center. Even though it's stereo, we don't care. Just jam it into the center. The voiceover guy recorded it with stereo, one channel with sound and the other silence. You know, sometimes they do that. It's annoying, but oh well. Okay, and we'll deal with the routing for sends later. Okay, then with sound design, we'll do the same thing. We will be here. We will add tracks. We will add 2. And this is, I know we're going to add some deep reverbs. So we definitely want this. This is sound effects verb front. This is sound effects verb surround. We'll just stick to this idea for now, but I'm pretty sure we're going to want a different reverb, but this will work just so we have it for later. This is going to sound effects bus, not to be confused with the sound effects verb. Now, see, look at all the buses we have now. So it's, you know, we're doing good organization because those buses are showing up, and we like it. We like it when there's lots of buses. We like it when there's lots of tracks. It's a good, good feeling. Okay, surround. We'll deal with music later next week if we have time, because that's just going to take up our time. All right, so let's take a look now at what we've got. We'll save, bring the picture back. We'll go to the top. Now for a trailer, if you're doing a cinematic trailer, let me just put myself on here. If you're doing a cinematic trailer, you got to be careful about the legality of your volume. You don't want to be so loud that you get illegal. So we want to know where that, level is. We want to start the dialogue at that level so that we have a, some kind of semblance of where the overall dialogue norm will be and where everything else will fall into place after that. But in this case, because it's going to be predominantly, as far as I know, an internet trailer, there's kind of no rules, and the louder the better. Even so, I want to mix as though it were for cinema. So the average dialogue norm there is, who knows? Yes, in America, North America, it's minus 23 LUFS. So we want to have that kind of thing. And the dialogue's not in yet, but we will get it there. In fact, No, I don't want to show you this dialogue. It's not really recorded very well. Although maybe I should, just because it is how I would start anyway. I just don't have it edited. I don't have it edited. I'm not going to do that. Just confuse you, and it's already been lots of generic stuff. So we're going to take a look at some of these big hits that we know we want to have full volume and see what we can do with them, because they are kind of functionally the basis of this soundtrack, not to mention the alarm, which is here. In fact, I don't like having the alarm on 2 mono channels, so we're going to make this a stereo channel. Again, this is the horrors of Pro Tools and what it has done for us. So we're going to grab this. Let's go back here. Let's see if we can just go like this. We cannot. I don't like that I can't just drop those in, which means I'm going to get rid of this track. And we're going to make a little bus. This is going to get a little bit tedious, but oh well. We're going to add a stereo bus track. This is going to be alarm bus. And you already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the alarm. I'm going to bus it to this bus from the Department of Redundancy Department. This will go to sound effects 5.1. You're going to go, yes. Output, alarm, bus. Notice that the panner now goes back to stereo because this bus is receiving stereo. We're going to go left, we're going to go right. These should be the same. And we'll solo. Hi. Cool. What needs to happen is the alarm needs to delay so that it creates a timed kind of delay. What can I say? In time with these hits. With these cuts, which I don't remember what that is, but we're going to find out here in a second. Let's go to Effects Rack. I'm going to use the alarm bus. I'm just going to put the delay that I want on the alarm bus because nobody else is going to use it. Normally I would make its own bus and other people would go to it. But in this case, it's just going to be for the good old alarm. We're going to do 50% so that we get the direct signal in. And let's see if we get lucky here. And we want to have a lot more feedback than that, which means I can't really use this one. Let's use something else with feedback. Echo, way better. Decay time, something like this. Feedback, of course, means how many times will it repeat after the first repeat. Let's just turn this off so we get 1. Go, that needs to be a lot faster. Strange. Something's not right. That's really super long, 96 milliseconds. Unless I'm missing something here. Echo bounce, that's cool. Little bug. Yeah, little bug. It goes to whatever that timing was. When you have it on 0, okay. Down. Need to be here. Almost. A little bit longer. You can see what we're trying to do here. Might actually be a second. Wouldn't that be nice? Just a little bit faster than a second. Even a little less. Okay, so we're pretty close there. We'll put in the other channel. We'll call it 948 milliseconds, nearly a second. Let's see how we do here. We'll pull the feedback down just a little bit. We don't need it to repeat that often. We'll pull the echo level up. That's a lot of echo. Okay, why the feedback's going crazy, I'm not sure. Okay, less feedback. Even less. And maybe it's a little fast. You can see it kind of beating the cuts. So we'll call it 960. Better. Okay, so we've got our little alarm thing going on. All right, so let's take a look at the track panner for hit left and right. I'm pretty sure we're going to want this to be solid left and this to be solid right. Same with hit effects here. We don't need these to be in the middle. And the bass drum, let's see what happens here. Those can be in the middle, but we do want to send them to the LFE. And if you're wearing headphones, you can definitely hear the LFE thanks to Spatial Audio Designer. The solo. It's definitely in there if you're wearing good headphones. And we want to be looking down here because although I have a limiter running, we don't want really this to go over 0. This should be pretty loud, probably the loudest part of this mix. You can see it goes throughout the mix as a thematic element. This will be the loudest thing we have in here. But we don't want it to be hitting 0, right now at this beginning stage. We want to be lower than we think because as the mixes progress, stuff tends to just want to get louder anyway, just because we like making things louder. What's in here? Oh, yes. So this is definitely going to the LFE, and this I want to pan kind of back here. This is that space noise. In fact, I'll just do this while we're listening because that's fun. We definitely want to probably send it to the LFE. Lots of the LFE. Cool. Did I pan the alarm? Oh, yes, for sure. Thunder. Thunder's another thematic element of this thing. I'll put it back here in the rears a little bit more. All right, let's see what we got now. A little bit more understanding. Lots of fun. And then the next bit of sound effects here, and we probably just need to turn the music off. Oops, here. Up we go. Because it's going to get annoying, as sad as that is. Hello. Guess not. Well, shoot, should have routed them anyway. Then I could just turn off the MX channel, but I did not. Oh well, we'll do it next time. It's okay. Next, okay, so we've got these great sounds. We've been panning them. Now it's starting to get interesting, right? Just at the end of our hour. But, you've hopefully gotten some ideas as to how we're setting these mixes up. And here, if we take these individual sounds, we know that we need to kind of help them. That's a lot of crunch. It's a beautiful sound, but when we add it all together with these two, right, that's super bright. When we put them together, they may kind of compete. And in fact, this one may need to come up a little bit more. So if we go to the mixer, so this one can come down just a little bit. This one can come up just a little bit. We also might want to add a little compression to them because they're a little flubby. They're kind of whoa, whoa. This one actually is kind of sharper. That one's sharper, but this one's kind of whoa, whoa. So let's add a little compression. I love that tube model compressor. Love it so much. I do. Love it, I do. We're going to turn this down. We're going to get a nice sharp ratio of about 3:1. Oops, 3:1 with a 45 millisecond attack and like a 70 millisecond here. Yeah, something like this. Maybe like this. There. With some makeup gain in the range of 4 or 5 decibels. Yes, sir. And then we'll option, oops, or alt drag over. Now I have the same thing on the other side. A little bit nicer. Cool. And if we put them together once again. Cool. And we'll add some high frequencies to them. Actually, let's do that beforehand, before the EQ, because it's just a little dark. This first one just doesn't quite have the pizzazz. We like the sound, but it's just a little dull. A little dull. There. But nicer. And did I put these into the LFE? No, I did not. That's good. We don't want to always put everything in the LFE. That's why it's called the low frequency effects channel. If it was just low frequency channel, then yes, we would put everything in there. But we want to be judicious, as you've heard me say many times, about what we stick into that LFE. It's beautiful to hear the thunder come out the rear speakers. That's super nice. All right, so that's a good start there. Let's scroll down here. Oh, what am I doing? I can do it this way. Yay. Next sound effect sequence. Cool. So we'll just, and this is what I'm doing. I'm going through each one of these sounds. I know what they are. I've happily labeled them. Yay. Thank you for putting up with me while I did that. And then now I know what's what, and I can just go bank by bank, getting these into a general sense of order, where they would go, where we would pan them, and kind of a general sense of sound, EQ, maybe a little compression, and we get a good sense of the overall sound effects at that point. That's beautiful. Love that sound. Wish I remember what that was. This is definitely going to be left and right front, because it's right in front of us. Beautiful. In fact, we may need to pan that, so we're going to pull these out just in case we need to do so. Next is this. I know we're going to pan these, so we'll leave those out, but generally left and right. When we get to the more finality of it all, we'll do that. We're also going to be automating these because it comes in at one level, gets close, very loud, and then goes far away, and we will be doing automation with that both in faders and EQ. Ooh, love that low frequency sweep. We are not going to pan that. No sense in panning low frequencies anywhere, just the left and right. We definitely will be sending this to the LFE because that's the only place anybody's ever going to hear that. And then next, oh yeah, how beautiful is that sound? Just a little LFE to give it a little fun. Let's warp in. It's going to be just a little off from left. So we'll pan this somewhat to the center-y. Next. Cool. Same kind of thing as what we have up here. In fact, let's just move these together. So we have a sense of what's what. These will definitely be panned. Just remembering that, again, I said this earlier, if you put these in that little alcove, you can no longer automate them. There's that, we know. Wow, is that different than this? Oof, so cool. And then this, those are panned. Oh, it isn't. Oh, yes, it is. Now, we could put this also in the LFE, but, we really don't need to. we've already got lots of low thump in there. What is going on here? This says left. What happened here? Right goes here. I don't know if that's another little bug. Left, sort of right, left. And this is going to be pseudo right as well. Okay, so now we've got these in a general position. All right, way too loud. In fact, we'll just pull these down here. If I can get the little thingamabobs, there they are. These in particular. Let's pull these down just for kicks. These are also the same thing as pulling the faders down in the mix window. And then the next sequence is here. And a whole bunch more fun stuff to do that we will be doing next week. So thanks for hanging out. If you have any other questions, I'll be here for a little bit to answer them. But otherwise, thanks for coming on the first live stream I've had in a long time. And I thought it'd be helpful just to, since I've got this mix, to pull it up here in Audition. And if you got any questions, go ahead and ask them. Next week, we'll just continue with sound effects. My guess is by then I'll have dialogue. We'll drop that in. It'll already be edited, yay. And hopefully sounding good, yay. And then after that, we'll tweeze, probably on week 3, tweeze, put everything together. So it sounds great. So it works on its own. And then add music. Music always at the end, never before. Don't get sucked into putting the music in first. Make the mix great, and then add the music in last. And then final tweezes. So, we might be doing this for 3 or 4 weeks, but hopefully you'll get some great ideas. Let's see. What's new? The Cinema Sound Foley Library is out. If you have not gotten your copy, I don't know if it's still 10% off, but go get it. There's links everywhere on the Cinema Sound site. We got a whole bunch of new reviews that came out. That, I'm going to show you speakerphone next week because that speakerphone video will come out. It's the most amazing plugin I've ever seen. It's incredible. We'll do it on some dialogue, which is fun. And then let's see, what else is out? Well, the podcast education we are currently shooting. It's record, edit, fix, mix. Now, on everything you want with podcasts, it's going to be great. We just shot all of the on-location stuff, probably another 3 hours worth of actual content left to shoot, but it's going to be, I'm really proud of what it's going to be. Already proud of it. Some of the clips you can already see on YouTube, where we've been comparing podcast microphones and in outside versus inside, and then polar patterns. We have several more clips that are going to be coming out before the actual education comes out. So thanks again for joining me. I'm going to hang around here. Anybody's got any questions? Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Vasevalad, Chandra, John, and everybody else who's hanging out. Cool. I'm just gonna jump back here and do a couple a little more bits of. I'm trying to figure out what that word is. We'll call it housekeeping. In fact, why don't we just do this? Ugh. This is... Normally I like having music stems in stereo. because it makes things a whole lot easier when you're processing them. But again, how they come out of Pro Tools. Mono bits. Yuck. Just doing this. Little labeling. Strings. High, long, left. Strings. High, short, left. Strings, low, long, left. Low, long, right. Low, short, left. Low, short, right. String ensemble, left. Ensemble right, Piano Celeste left, Piano Celeste right, harpo, harp left, harp right, melodic perk left, melodic perk right, orc perk left. Lots of stems. Love stems. Orc, perk, high, left. Orc, perk, high, right. Mark, why do you need so many stems? Well, you never know. Especially when you've got dialogue in a trailer and you've got all these big horn things going on. And guess what horns always mask? The most important thing they always mask, especially in a trailer, the male voice. What a drag. Whoa. What's going on here? Who dis? All right, well, you're choir. I don't know why y'all say you're choir, because you ain't. Y'all too? Me and him are going to do it. Press the correct buttons, get the correct results. Okay, this is orc perk. I don't know why that says otherwise. And this looks very loud indeed. This is hits. And why you're routed there, I don't know. Oh, I do know why, because we pre-routed them. Yay. Mix bus 5.1 and mix bus 5.1. This actually gets us to the end of this maniacal organizational stuff, because once the routing is done, then we're good to go. Good to get back into mixing. The sound of the stylus on the tablet. Yeah, I don't use a mouse. Some people ask me if I do and why. Years ago, I used to get carpal tunnel syndrome because I would be playing. I used to do a whole lot of film composing, and the keyboard would be there, and then I'd be touching a mouse, or worse yet, a trackball. For those of you who have carpal, you know how horrible a trackball can be, and it's like way worse than a mouse. And I stopped being able to feel the ends of my fingers. And of course, as a pianist first, I got extremely stressed out, extremely nervous. And the last thing I wanted to hear was that, oh, we're going to have to cut your wrists open and do whatever they do. And one of my clients, actually, we're talking like 1997, back when Wacom was like doing ADB port connections. He bought me one. It was like $200. It was very kind of him. He bought me one and said, see if this works. And within 2 days, the only thing I had an issue with was writer's cramp. It takes that long to get used to one of these styluses. But all of my carpal tunnel symptoms went away with prejudice and never have come back, except I get writer's cramp. And I'm very thrilled, grateful for such a thing. So there's my story with it and why I always use them. Well, there's all the music in the center channel, but at least it's routed. All right, everybody. Thank you. Have a good night, and I will see you on cinemasound.com, if not somewhere else here in LA or wherever we're going. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.